Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Harunisa MR. I'm from English Education Department 2019, State University of Alauddin Makassar. In this video, I will answer the question from section 2, part 1. Number 1. Why should we learn the genesis of discourse analysis? My answer is, by studying the history of discourse analysis, we can understand the relationship between discourse analysis and linguistics. We can find out the process of developing discourse analysis through stages. Number 2, do you agree with saying that the development of discourse analysis theory is strongly influenced by the development of linguistic theories? My answer is, I agree with this statement that the development of discourse analysis theory is very much influenced by the development of linguistic theory, because it is known that discourse analysis is the main linguistic study that examines the use of language by indigenous people both orally and in writing. When there is also a statement which says that linguistic theory is what gave birth to the theory of discourse analysis. So it is not surprising that the development of discourse analysis is greatly influenced by the development of linguistic theory, because the two have a close and clear relationship. There are 6 questions in number 3. The first is, what is traditional grammar theory? My answer is, traditional grammar theory is the study of the structure and formation of words and sentence, which refer to sound, word, phrases, sentence, and meaning. The second question is, what is the main principle of this theory? My answer is, the main principle of this theory is that grammar in this tradition reflects the perspective view that one dialect or variety of language should be valued more highly than another and should become the norm for all speakers of that language. The next question is, what do teachers who adopt the principle do in teaching a language? My answer is, what the teacher does is speak according to the sound pattern, words and sentence structure of the source language. The next question is, what are the product of this theory? My answer is, the product of this theory is respecting a language which is similar to what is spoken by a native speaker. The question number 5 is, what is the main shortcoming of this theory? My answer is, the main shortcoming is that it is not strong enough to develop learners' language knowledge and skill, because the focus is limited to the language referred to, claimed to be the standard language, which consequently makes the language knowledge of learner isolated by the components of the standard language. The next question is, what are grammar translation method and its relation to traditional grammar theory? My answer is, translating the foreign language into the mother tongue. The teacher dominates the class while students are required to write down every detailed information provided by the teacher. Students are encouraged to understand the form of language. The teacher is asked to speak in a foreign language during class and to the correct and language error made by student. The next is number 4. There are six questions and number 4. The first is what is structuralism theory and what does the saucer says about the structure of language? My answer is the saucer says about the structure of language is that the language is formed by saying which ultimately result in parole. Speech here is then understood as a meaningful event that has been possible and regulated to some extent by the pre-existing sign system. Signs have two components, namely sign and markers, or tools to express signs such as the sound they feel. The next question is what are the main principles of this theory? My answer is structuralism places spoken language first and written language second, and structuralism requires students to learn a language skill, a whole system. The next question is what is informant method and what relationship to the structuralism theory? My answer is informant is a teaching method that brings native speaker as a source of knowledge about language, such as how words are spoken and used in everyday life. This method develops as an application of structural theory so that the two have a close relationship. The The next question is what are the characteristics of the method? My answer is the characteristic of this method is the pursuit of language skill as a comprehensive system. The next question is what is the main shortcoming of this theory? My answer is the shortcoming is the lack of emphasis in studying the cultural aspect of a language. The next question is what is error analysis and what is relation to structuralism theory? My answer is error analysis is one way respond to gaps that have occurred in language learning. And the last is number 5. There are 5 questions in number 5. The first is what is functionalism theory and what does Chomsky say about language? My answer is the fundamental difference with the points of view of the two experts is competence necessary to understand a language. The next question is what are the difference between Chomsky view and hymns about language? My answer is the basic principle of this theory is that one's competence is a major factor in understanding a language. The next question is what is principle of this theory? The basic principle of this theory is that one's competence is a major factor in understanding a language. The next question is what is CLT method and its relation to functionalism theory? My answer is discourse analysis. Teaching methods focus on the daily use of the language. This method is an interpretation of functional theory. The last question is what the relationship between discourse analysis and functionalism theory. My answer is discourse analysis is the result of the development of functional theory carried out by experts in understanding the use of language through social and cultural aspects. Um, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.